गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। नीलारविन्दसुहृदा सदृशं प्रसादे तुल्यं तथा महसि तोयजबान्धवेन ब्राह्म्यां स्थितौ तु पितरं वटमूलवासं संस्मारयन्तम् अचलन्तमनुस्मरामः। So, we meditate on Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi, who is firm like a rock. Anusmaramaha, remember, meditate, contemplate again and again. Where? In this continuously changing world, he is like a firm rock. He is the unshakable one. Now, today we enter into Bhakti Vicharaha, Shodashodhyayaha, 16th chapter, and the topic is on Bhakti. The questioner, Vashishta Ganapati Muni, he is asking questions to Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi. And in this chapter, the questions are relating to a devotion, or the word devotion does not completely translate into bhakti. Bhakti is much more than what just a devotion means. So anyway, we'll see what our Bhagwan says. अथ भक्तिं समुद्दिश्य पृष्ठपुरुषसत्तमः अभाषत महाभागो भगवान् रमणो मुनिः टुगेदर अथ भक्तिं समुद्दिश्य पृष्ठपुरुषसत्तमः अभाषत महाभागो भगवान् रमणो मुनिः. Then atha, thereafter, now questioned regarding bhakti, the best of men, the highly auspicious Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi spoke thus. And what did he say? Huh? On bhakti, yes. On bhakti. Yeah. What he says in the second verse, Atma priya samastasya priyam netaradatmanaha अच्छिन्ना तैलधारावत् प्रीतिर्भक्तिरुदाहृता टुगेदर आत्मा प्रिय समस्तस्य प्रियं नेतरदात्मनः अच्छिन्ना तैलधारावत् प्रीतिर्भक्तिरुदाहृता. The self is dear to all and nothing else is as dear. Love unbroken like a stream of oil is termed bhakti. So, what is bhakti? What is termed as bhakti? Taila dharavat pritihi. Huh? Taila oil, dhara stream, vat like that. What is the difference between a stream of oil and a stream of water? A stream of water has many intermissions in between. Very quickly the water can become a bubble. It can have bubbles within it. Sometimes as you are pouring it, when you start pouring it, there is a drop, 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 or when you stop it, it's again drop, drop, drop. But when you pour the oil, from the first moment onwards, it is a continuous flow rather than drop following a drop. Taila dharavat. And when our devotion, when our heart is Taila dharavat, and he gives here the Atma Priya Samastasya Priyam Netarad Atmanaha. Here, excuse me, what is Narad Bhakti Sutra says, Satvasmin Parama Prema Rupa. Devotion is indeed the nature of supreme love, and love directed towards God is supreme love. Both. God is supreme love, love directed towards that supreme love is devotion. See? So here same thing our Ramana Maharishi is also saying, Atma Priya Samastasya Priyam Netarad Atmanaha. The self is dear to all, Atma Priya. All is Samastasya. Instead of to all, Samastasya will be of all. The self is dear of all. And then Priyam Netaradatmanaha, nothing else is as dear as the self. And this is everyone. Everyone is loving themselves most. They may say, I live for my husband, I live for my wife, I live for my children, I live for my parents. It is only because it gives you a sense of purpose, it gives you a satisfaction, it gives you fulfillment, it gives you a feeling that you are doing your duty. Who is doing it? You are. So in the end it's coming to you only. Because if you don't do those things, then what will happen? Guilt. That is how we have programmed ourselves. So no, here the rule is no object in itself is of the nature of love. Everyone is having a relationship. Everyone, you don't, oh, I loved the coffee. Then you should drink coffee all your life. You may drink 2 cups, by 3rd cup you will be vomiting. So what happened to the love in coffee? I love coffee so much. I love gulab jamun. So the principle we are understanding here, that the objects of the world are not of the nature of love in themselves. Whatever interaction we do, we have, we associate, we experience, we relate, is for ourselves because it gives us satisfaction. We don't do it because it gives the satisfaction to the other. Analyze this within yourself. You give dana. Dana means donation to some charities. it gives you satisfaction that you have made a difference out there. If you don't give, charities will get or not get, who cares? Do you care how many charities you give to? Maybe one or two, maybe none. They are still going on. And then some of them who build the temples, who give the donation, who give the help, then they go around boasting that I did this, I did that, I did that. Who did? I. It was all about me. So recognize this, that no relationship, no association, no interaction is for the sake of the other. If in our mind the feeling is coming that I am doing it for the other, in the end it is that is वो ख्याल अच्छा है but you are hypnotizing yourself into thinking you are doing it for the other. The fact is, if you don't do it for the other, you are not going to be comfortable with yourself. It gives you the joy to serve the others. It gives you joy to take care of the others. It gives you joy to do the pilgrimage. God doesn't want you to come, man. He's only a statue. You are going there. I did pilgrimage, Bhagwan called me. Oh, go. And we go. See? So, so the self is dear to all, nothing else is dear to the dear to what do you say? Dear other than it. Love unbroken like a stream of oil is termed bhakti. Now in this bhakti, according to Narad Bhakti Sutra, there are 4 stages. What is the first stage? The Lord is separate to us. Second stage, that Lord who was separate to us, some idea, some concept, not too much interaction with him, not even thinking. For some reason you started thinking about it by his grace, by some inner change. Now it becomes my Lord. You start having ownership about that Lord. I am a Vaishnava, I am a Shaiva, he is my Guru. So before you didn't have any Guru. Now you go to a Guru. Initially you check, you test, you see, यहाँ पे दाल गल जाएगी. He is my Guru. He is my God. Initially we start chanting the name of the Lord with a disinterested attitude. But as we are chanting, the love for the Lord gets ignited. And we start having a special relationship with the Lord. Then our day has to begin by taking His name. Our day has to begin by lighting the lamp. Our day has to, anytime there is a problem, my Lord is there with me. You must have heard. We also say it. You also must have heard people saying it, or you are saying it yourself. That my Lord is with me. That's the second stage. But still, the Lord is separate. Second stage is the act or the feeling of possessing that He is mine. The third stage is not that He is mine, but I am His. See how beautiful, how it is unfolding. So first it was only the divine, only the Guru, only the Lord. Then it was my Lord, but He is still separate. Now the feeling is that I am a part of Him. I am not separate from Him. As the mind is getting purified, as the mind is becoming focused, single-pointed, this disposition comes about, that I am part and parcel of the divine being. I am not separate from him. That feeling has not come that I am not, but this is the beginning, that I am his. Before he is mine, second stage, but now I am his. Before I was holding on to him. Pahimam, take care of me, I take refuge at your feet. And then in that second stage, where you are mine, my Lord, then you want to see how he is taking care of you when you require him. And that becomes a motivation. But in the third stage, where I say I am his, whether God gives, the divine being gives attention to us, doesn't give attention to us, throws difficulties at us, throws challenges at us, brings successes to us, this conviction that I am his in spite of everything, this doesn't get corrupted. This is a higher stage. This is a higher stage. So second stage, he is mine. Third stage, I am his. Fourth stage, what is the fourth stage? Me and him are one. There is no differentiation between the devotee and the Lord. This is what Narad Bhakti Sutra says with regards to devotion. So where do we stand in this scheme of 4 steps? We are outside the 4. We haven't even started. Always take that position. Never say that I am already at the 4th stage. Because then, if you take yourself to be at the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you will take it for granted. Then you will stop your practices. Because if final consummation, no differentiation between the devotee and the Lord, if this has not come about, this is the final consummation. Just as the final consummation for the waker is when he and the sleep become one. And that is called deep sleep, where there is no difference between the one who wants to sleep and the sleep. There is no difference. Consummation is you're thinking of the food and the food you put the food into your mouth and it becomes one with you. Now there is no difference. You think you have consumed the food, but actually food is consuming you from inside. So, no differentiation. If that is not our experience, that is not our disposition, that is not our knowledge, then we must think that we have not started yet. We must put more efforts to bring about these stages. And to bring about these stages, people take the name of the Lord, people chant, or take the name of their Guru Maharaj. This is according to Narad Bhakti Sutra. Now let's see what our Ramana Maharishi Maharaj is speaking about the devotion. So remember these 4 steps. First is Lord is separate. Second, it is my Lord. That means he is mine. Third stage is I am his. And the fourth stage is no differentiation between me and him. a ready reckoner. You can see where you stand in the scheme of your sadhana. And in this way, uh, uh, the, the scriptures also speak what? That those who are desirous of getting liberated, of self realization, the, the hearing, the thinking, the contemplation is the Shravana Manana Nidhyasan, as we saw in the previous chapter, is mentioned by the scriptures also. We saw that in Vivek Chudamani, we saw that in Upadesh Sahasri, and many other texts, Panchadashi also. So that is, and our disposition is the self has to be seen, heard, uh, uh, and has to be thought about. So that is the only tool we have. We at the moment we have the tool called senses, and we have a subtler tool called the mind. And because our feeling is we are the seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, thinking, experiencing, knowing being individual, as long as this feeling is there that I am the body, then our means of knowledge also remain the same. We want to see the divine, we want to hear the divine, we want to feel the divine, we want to taste the divine, we want to think of the divine, we want to contemplate on the divine. And all this presupposes what I just said. It presupposes that the divine is separate to us, isn't it? And if we take divine to be that self, the essential self, the spirit, it's still presupposing that we are separate from the self that we are seeking. And therefore, these default methods of gaining knowledge, relative knowledge, we are not talking about absolute knowledge, relative knowledge, we want to see, hear, touch, feel, think, etc. But how can you see, feel, hear, think, and think about yourself, about the spirit, about the consciousness? How will you do that? And therefore religions came about. But when going to a teacher, remember Kenopanishad, what we are doing? What is that divine? Oh, he is the eye of the eye, he is the ear of the ear, he is the prana of the prana, he is the smell of the smell. He is the life of life itself. This type of language is used then. So the student, who is the student? Ganpati Satchidananda, not Ganpati Satchidananda, Vashishta Ganapati Muni. He has studied scriptures, he knows that, just like he knew what was Shravanam Mananam Nididhyasan. And as we said before, when we are in the presence of a teacher, master, sage, don't waste your time. What you want to eat, can you please bless me? Can you take the disease away from me? No. These are the questions that we must ask. What is their take? What is their disposition with regards to devotion, with regards to Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasan? Your vision will expand, because then you will, instead of seeing thinking, looking at life through the blinkers, when we look at how the masters are, who have experienced what the scriptures are saying without reading the scriptures, in case of Ramana Maharishi, what is their take on the whole thing? Because they are talking out of their experience. Scriptures are talking in presenting the ideas. And how do we develop faith in the scriptures? By having this faith that the scriptures were given by the Lord Himself. But here is a master, a realized Jivan Mukta Purusha, living, born like us through a womb, who has come to realize, who is established in the divine, who never studied any scriptures. How did he get there? He never knew what was Narad Bhakti Sutra. He did not study any Upanishads. Then how did he come to know the various stages? What would be his take on this devotion? Question to be. So it is natural. We corrupt ourselves by overthinking. Then in the second verse, the self is dear to all. This is another example which comes in the Chandogya Upanishad or Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where Yajnavalkya is telling his wife Maitreyi that, oh my dear, everyone loves for their own sake, nobody loves another for their sake. So you make the dosa for your husband. Why? You don't want to feel guilty. You don't want to feel guilty. Or it gives you the pleasure to make dosa for your husband. That's why you do it. Are you doing? No, but then you have to make the fool of the other person, no? Oh, I did it for you. You are so darling to me. You are such a loving person. You take care of me. I don't know what would I do without you. Blah, 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 blah. But in the end, it is only because by saying all those things, it gives us, बेवकूफ बनाया इसको. Drama must go on. But in the end, the satisfaction of doing or not doing cannot be outside of you. It is experienced by you, within you, isn't it? So here he says that that in self equal to divinity is equal to reality is equal to pure consciousness is of the nature of love. It is its natural state. Just like the sun does not know it is heat and light, similarly, self does not say that I am of the nature of love. It is its nature. What can you do? You are, because you don't consider yourself to be self, so you need all the language to relate to the self that you already are. So, Taila Dharavat Pritihi. So, when our love for the self, Ramana Maharshi says, when our love for the self is continuous, Taila Dharavat, unbroken, without any distractions, towards what? Towards the self. Then it is devotion. Taila Dharavat Pritihi Bhakti Rudahruta. So again, everything becomes dear to us because of the love of the self. Everything becomes dear because we are alive, because there is the throbbing of consciousness. That consciousness is of the nature of love, which unintelligently, out of ignorance, out of delusion, we have superimposed it that, you know, I love my children, I love my parents, I love my house, I love my body, I love the thoughts that I have in my mind. But how can anything that is other than the self? What is other than the self? The not self. What is not self? The five koshas: gross body, vital body, mental body, intellectual body. What is other than the self? The waking experience, dream experience, sleep experience. What is other than the self? The mind, intellect, the mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, mind, intellect, memory, and ego, and the senses and the organs of action. They are other. What else is other than the self? The space, air, fire, water, earth, the whole cosmos. Whatever you see, hear, touch, feel, taste, think, conceptualize, imagine, ideate, everything is not self. Everything is not self. How can that which is not self, how can that which is temporary, how can that which is ephemeral, how can that which is finite, how can that which is changing give you continuous experience of love? How can it? Even drinking water doesn't give you continuous satisfaction. After some time again you are thirsty. So Taila Dharavat, continuous. And that continuous love, when it is invoked, when it is directed, when attention is directed towards that source of love, first part is recognition. I gave you the Narad Muni's interpretation, the 4 stages. First is that the Lord is separate, means the self is separate. That's why we are seeking, stupidly studying scripture after scripture, not ready to accept that we are what we are seeking. Then, as this journey continues, one day, by God's grace, this understanding will come that the self that I am seeking, the realization that I am seeking, is not outside, it is within me only. It is me only, not within also, it is me only. Uddharet atmana atmanam atmanam avasadayet. Raise yourself by yourself, in yourself. For that the second stage, that it is not separate from me, that yes, I feel that it is separate, but it is me only. So I have to think about, contemplate on myself. Because the habit of doing something has not gone away. The habit of putting efforts. Because throughout your life, everything you have gained, achieved, only through efforts. So it seems that in this frontier also we have to put efforts. So I have to list Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. I have to do devotion towards it. Because this thought will not come to your mind. If you are already that, then it doesn't matter after that I have to do something. The one who is established in the self, the one who is merged in the self as the self, he doesn't put any efforts. He doesn't practice devotion. He doesn't gather knowledge. He doesn't do any sadhana. Because he's reached the destination. He's reached the goal of recognizing that the seeker and the sought are one. The devotee and the devoted are one. The seeker and the self are essentially the same. And when we come to the third stage, that I am his, meaning soham, soham, the breath coming in and out, continuously saying soham, soham, I am he, I am him, saha aham, he am I. Okay, here it is, either whichever way you take it, he am I or I am him. Soham, soham, soham. And how long do you keep attentive about this? How long do you remain focused about this? When will it give you, when will it consume you completely? What is the penultimate step before I am his and there is no difference between me and him becomes about? You need the Taila Dharavat Pritihi. You need undisturbed, undistracted, continuous, homogeneous, unbroken flow of attention towards that divine, which is none other than the self. It's like you are looking at me right now or listening at me right now. I'm looking at my own eyes. I'm looking at you guys, but I know I got the eyes. My eyes cannot see the eyeballs. But I know that through these holes, the vision is coming out. Even though I can't see my own eyes. So what is vision doing? Vision is only illuminating the multitudes of colors and forms. It can never illuminate the source. But if I bring that attention, if I try to turn the vision towards its own source, you can do that in your own places. Suddenly all the names and forms will melt into each other and there will be only blankness. Try that. Same thing with the mind. Mind is continuously illuminating the various thoughts which are coming and going. You know there is a mind. When the mind becomes, instead of thinking, giving and illuminating the thoughts, it tries to go to its source, the self. Continuously, without distraction, without a break. Then the consummation happens. Just as it happens in sleep. You think of sleep without any distractions, then alone your mind gets consumed by sleep. Absorbed into sleep. This is your daily experience. What we are here going is the principle. This is the principle. And all this is happening for yourself. It is not happening for someone else. So, as long as we think of devotion, devotion is an act. Devotion is a process. Devotion is a technique. Devotion necessarily uh, precludes that the devotee and the devoted are separate, and the devotee is thinking about the devoted, the divine, the self, the Lord. And what is devotion? Intermittently thinking about, once a week going to temple or church, once in a year sitting in meditation, once in a year taking the name of the Lord. No. What is devotion then? Continuous application of our mind towards that divine theme is devotion. And for that, what do we do? What did we study in our Amrit Anubhav? Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. Chant the name of the Lord. Here he also talks about chanting Om. We'll see what he says. But there also Jnaneshwar Maharaj also said chant Om only. But chant loudly, not in your mind. Vaikhari for the waking state, Madhyama for the overcoming the dream state or dissolving the dream state, Pashyanti for dissolving the deep sleep state. What does deep sleep state dissolving mean? That you remain awake in deep sleep. Meaning you remain awake when there are no thoughts in your mind. Then what will happen? You will bypass Pashyanti, you will straight away get into Samadhi, which is the Para. This is the process of purification. So when you are chanting loudly, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and someone says, hey Swamiji, what did you say? There is a disturbance, there is a break. Again it will go back to the mantra. Again I have to start. This is broken focus, broken application, not continuous application. But what is continuous application? Where our mind, in spite of all the differences, in spite of all the doings that are going on in our life, is not forgetting the divine theme. So take at the Vaikhari level, there will be differences, there will be breaks. When you go into the mind, the mantra from your lips gets transferred to your mind. Just as a mother is doing her job or at home or at work, and the phone comes that your child fell down and hurt himself. The mother finds everything, leaves everything, tells the boss, I'm going, and this, that, everything, and or packs up her bag and gets into the car and drives the car to the school. But driving was going on, but where was her attention? Continuously on the child. She was locking the house, where was her attention? On the child. She was walking from the house to the car, where was her attention? On the child. So there is a way that in spite of all activities, we can remain focused whom we have given importance. So choose wisely. It's not that we have to drop the world and only then we can focus on the divine. No, begin from wherever you are. You start thinking of sleep at 8 o'clock. I don't know if you are sleeping now, but in the night after the Bhagavad class, You are thinking now it's time to sleep, but you are not slept, you are thinking about it. देन अच्छा चलो थोड़ी वर्सेस देख लेते हैं कल के लिए क्या है, पता नहीं सुबह टाइम मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा. देन अगेन नहीं यार बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा दिन हो गया, चलो जाके सो जाते हैं. सो योर योर अटेंशन ऑन द स्लीप इनिशियली इट इज इन स्पिट्स एंड start and stop and start and stop. Slowly it becomes more continuous, then it becomes more continuous, and then when you are in the bed it is absolutely taila dharavat. Taila dhara, like the flow of oil, continuous. So from the Adi Shankaracharya's point of view, he says devotion is said to be a continuous concentration of one's own true form. Some say that devotion is continuous contemplation, concentration, single pointedness on the essence of the self. So there are different views like this. What is the view of our Ramana Maharishi? He says that all these, whatever Bhagavad Path says, what others say, what Narad Muni says, all are talking about the same thing in different words. All practices lead to the same. Like all paths lead to the summit of the mountain, similarly, you call it concentration, you call it single pointed, you call it love, you call it self, you call it God, it doesn't matter. In the end, it is devotion only. अभिन्न स्वात्मत प्रीत्या अभिन्नं स्वात्मत प्रीत्या विजानातीश्वरं कविः विजानातीश्वरं कविः जानन्नप्यपरो भिन्नं लीन आत्मनि तिष्ठति टुगेदर अभिन्नं स्वात्मतः प्रीत्या विजानातीश्वरं कविः जानन्नप्यपरो भिन्नं लीन आत्मनि तिष्ठति. Through love, the sage knows that God is none other than his own self. The devotee, on the other hand, regards him as different from himself, yet he too merges and abides in the self alone. So what is the difference between the ignorant one and the wise one? The wise one knows there is no difference between him and the self, him and the Lord. And how did he come to know that? Through love. Because he has accepted himself as the nature of love. And devotee, the ignorant one who is on the journey, why is he not experiencing the same thing even though he is that? Because he has accepted the difference between himself and the divine. The wave has accepted that I am not the ocean. Then it prays, oh ocean devata, please help me. Other waves are coming and persecuting me. They are pushing me towards the shore. I am about to die. Please, pahimam, please save me, please save me. This will be the prayer of the wave to the ocean. But is wave not already part and parcel of the ocean? Is it separate from the ocean? Does it have a independent existence apart from the ocean? The material that makes ocean ocean, is that not the same material which has gone into making the wave? Then where is this idea that, oh ocean, please help me? Where is this idea that I am an individual and Pahimam, please help me, I am devoted to you, I'll do Satyanarayan Puja if you make me realize. After that, you'll say you will not be there. Who will do my puja then? So this premise itself is wrong for the ignorant one. The ignorant one does devotion. The wise one doesn't devotion. He is the form of devotion. He has taken the form of love. You are practicing love as a seeker, as a devotee. You are increasing, practicing, focusing, increasing your love towards the divine theme. Therefore, Taila Dharavat. Does a wise man need a continuous flow of thoughts of love towards himself? No. We chant Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Oh Lord Son, please make our intellect as bright as you. Why? You see him as separate. You see him as bright. Does sun see himself as a bright object? Acha yaar, the whole world is thinking about me and praying to me Om Bhurbhuva Swaha. I should also chant. If my intelligence becomes dark, then what will happen? So sun is saying Om Bhurbhuva Swaha to himself. That's foolishness, isn't it? And yet, because we can't come to a concept, yet in yesterday's story, the Lord Narayana appears as a small baby on the banyan tree leaf. And what is he doing? He is holding his leg with his soft hands and sucking on his own toe, wondering what all the saints and sages, they do my abhishek, they wash my feet, and they take the water which has washed my feet and they feel fulfilled on taking that tirtha, that consecrated water. What is so great about my feet? Let me suck it and see. See, just as I told you long time ago, just as a master, wise man is studying the scriptures. Someone asks, oh wise man, you already know the truth, then why are you studying the scriptures? He says, oh, I am reading the scriptures to see if they are saying the correct thing about me. See? Are we interacting with ourselves in that manner? Or are we interacting with ourselves that self is somewhere far away? Somewhere self is far away, the divine is far away, because we are considering ourselves to be the body. As long as our mind is crystallized as the body, as the ego which has accepted body as I, till then devotion has to be practiced. Till this crystallization of form as I does not melt away to give way to the form of the infinite. What is the form of the infinite? You tell me. What is the form of the infinite sky? What is the form of the infinite waters? What is the form of the infinite gold? What is the form of the infinite mud? What is the form of the infinite consciousness? It must give way. Don't come to a conclusion. Like Markandeya, he was not having any conclusion. He knew Bhagavan is one with him, the self is one with the Lord Narayana. Who is Lord Narayana? He is the divine. Without wanting anything, without expecting anything, without desiring anything, then that infinite form, formless form, the Satchidananda Swarup, the one without a second, took form of sage Narayana and Nara to bless sage Markandeya. Same way, have you met Ramana Maharshi? No. You only seen photographs. So he has manifested as the photograph in front of you. He has that infinite reality, because Ramana Maharshi knew and was established in the reality, he is manifesting as this Ramana Gita in front of you. But it is still separate. Same way, as long as we are thinking of the self, we are still separate from the self. So we have to bring about a constant, continuous flow of attention towards that unchangeable substratum, unshaken essence. And our interaction with initially is only through thoughts, only through words, but they have to be continuous, unbroken. So the wise one, because he had continuous love towards the Lord, he knows the Lord. And what does he know about the Lord? That the Lord and the self are one. That is his natural disposition. So whether you come to know the self, which is of the nature of love, or you come to know the Lord, who is also of the nature of love, because Bhagwan also we call him Satchidananda, Shiva also we call Satchidananda, Narayana also we call Satchidananda, Ganapati also we call Satchidananda, and self also we call Satchidananda. And that Brahman, the formless, attributeless reality, that also we call as Satchidananda. So who's the wise one? Who doesn't see the difference between the self and the Lord. Doesn't see the difference. He has come to that non-distinct realization. No specificity anymore. No separation, no differences, no sense of otherness. Such a one is called the wise one. But a devotee, a seeker, he sees the Lord as separate to himself, and therefore seeks to be merged in the self, seeks to merge himself into the Lord. So then in devotional texts we see mergence by way of form, by mergence by way of thought, by mergence by way of mind. So when we follow the Ashtanga Yoga, when we come through Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, Dharana is intermittent focus. Dharana. Dhyan is continuous focus. Contemplation is the continuous focus is so intense without expectation that merging happens, consummation happens. But in between that, when the consummation happens, consummation will happen based upon what are you entertaining in your mind. If you are entertaining in your mind the form of the Lord, then the consummation will happen with the form. If you are entertaining the name of the Lord, the consummation will happen. Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. If you are entertaining that the true devotion's goal is identity between the Atman and the Brahman, or the Atman and the Lord, then that will be your destination. What are you entertaining? So when we come across scriptures, when we come across the words of masters like this or Amrit Anubhav, it is to realign our notions, our convictions, so that whatever practices we are doing, we reach the correct destination without getting lost in the bushes and reaching somewhere else. And naturally, if you are going to sleep, you have the importance of sleep in your mind. You understand the importance of sleep, its consequences, what it brings about, what are its symptoms. Same way, until unless we are not convinced of the importance of consummation into the divine, into the self, into the Lord of this mind of the seeker, that final consummation will only come if you are ready to surrender. You go to sleep only because you are ready to surrender at the altar of sleep, without trying to work out what is sleep, where is sleep, what is its nature, you don't want to go. If you come to know, you will be scared that it is nothing. What? I surrendered to nothing? No, I am not that stupid. You are. That's why you did. We are trying to wake, when we read these texts, we are trying to wake ourselves up. See? So, and how do you bring about surrender? Surrender is not something to be practiced. Surrender cannot be practiced. Surrender happens. Meditation cannot be practiced. Meditation happens. Breathing cannot be practiced. Breathing happens. Thinking cannot be practiced. Thinking happens. You cannot practice waking, dream, deep sleep. They are happening. Then how do you allow surrender to happen? You need to create the environment. And what is the environment? Find out what is the environment you create in your mind when you surrender to sleep. What is the environment you have created when you have committed to one man for the rest of your life? Find out what is the environment you have created in your mind that you are ready to serve your parents, keep thinking about the needs of the children. Find out. Do a little bit of self-analysis. You will find it is love and love alone. When you think about something continuously, love emanates. Love gets invoked. And only with this feeling of deep, supreme love towards the Lord, towards the self, we make ourselves available at the altar of the divine Lord or the self and allow ourselves to be consumed, allow ourselves to be merged. Understand the principle. This is what you are doing when you are eating, when you are thinking of someone, when you are interacting with someone. You are not doing it for anyone. You are doing it for yourself. You like something for yourself. You dislike something also for yourself because it gives you happiness. You are angry with someone because it gives you happiness. You say sorry because it gives you happiness. You demand sorry because it gives you happiness. It's not for the other's sake. So in this manner, अभिन्नम स्वात्मतः प्रीत्या विजानातीश्वरम कविः. Kavihi means the wise man. Janannapya paro bhinnam leena atmani tishtati. Leena atmani tishtati. He is absorbed, leena, at one ment with the self, surrendered to the self. Such is a kavi. Such is a wise person. And what is the nature of the self? One without a second. So the one who is merged in the self as the self knows, we can only put words here, knows that the entire world of Jeev Jagat Ishwar, the entire world of individual, total and the inert, knows is one without a second, is the self alone, is the self alone. We'll leave it here and come back at 11 o'clock for the fourth verse onwards. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.